Life throws curveballs. It's a fact. We all experience stress. It's as much a part of life as joy and sorrow. It's the body's natural response to challenges and pressures, a primal instinct to keep us safe and alert. But here's the thing. Stress doesn't have to rule us. We can choose how we respond, how we let it shape our days. That's a powerful realization. We often think of stress as purely negative, but there's another side. A certain level of stress can be motivating, pushing us to perform better, to rise to the occasion. Think of an athlete before a big game, or a musician about to take the stage. That nervous energy, that heightened awareness, it can be channeled into focus and drive. The key is finding the sweet spot. Too little stress, and we become complacent. Too much, and we risk burnout. It's about recognizing the signals, understanding our own personal thresholds. It's about taking ownership of our stress, rather than letting it own us. And that's a journey worth taking. We humans are complex creatures. Our relationship with stress is no different. Some of us, believe it or not, are drawn to stress. We thrive in high-pressure environments, feeding off the adrenaline rush. Maybe it's the thrill of the challenge, the sense of accomplishment when we overcome it. Or perhaps it's a way to feel in control, to prove our worth. On the other side of the spectrum are those who avoid stress at all costs. They shy away from confrontation, from any situation that could disrupt their carefully constructed equilibrium. And there's nothing inherently wrong with seeking peace and tranquility. It's a natural human desire. But when avoidance becomes a way of life, it can be limiting. It prevents us from growing, from experiencing the fullness of life. The truth is, most of us fall somewhere in between these two extremes. We have our comfort zones, our limits, and that's okay. The important thing is to be aware of where we stand on this spectrum, to understand what motivates our responses to stress. Because only then can we begin to make conscious choices about how we navigate the inevitable challenges that life throws our way. When stress hits, we react. It's instinctive, almost like a reflex. Our heart rate increases, our breath quickens, our minds race. This is our default mode, our body's hardwired response to perceived threat. And in that moment, we have a choice to make. Do we let this default mode take over, allowing fear and anxiety to dictate our actions? Or do we pause, take a breath, and choose a different path? This is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is impulsive, often driven by fear or anger. It's saying or doing the first thing that comes to mind, often with little regard for the consequences. Responding, on the other hand, is thoughtful and intentional. It's taking a moment to assess the situation, to consider our options, and to choose the course of action that aligns with our values and goals. Living in default mode can be exhausting. It's a constant state of reactivity, of being tossed and turned by the waves of stress. But when we choose to respond consciously, we empower ourselves. We take back control, navigating life's challenges with greater clarity and purpose. Taking the reins, shifting from default to choice. So how do we make this shift? How do we move from a place of reactivity to one of conscious choice? It starts with awareness. The first step is recognizing when we're operating in default mode. Are we quick to anger? Do we shut down emotionally? Do we reach for unhealthy coping mechanisms? Once we've identified our default patterns, we can begin to challenge them. This takes courage and practice. It's about pausing before we react, about taking a breath and creating space for choice. It's about asking ourselves, what's the best version of myself I can be in this moment? This shift from default to choice is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when we fall back into old patterns, and that's okay. What matters is that we keep practicing, keep striving to respond to stress in a way that aligns with our values. Finding peace, faith, and trust in the divine. Beyond the practical strategies, there's a deeper dimension to stress management faith. Now, I'm not talking about blind faith or wishful thinking. I'm talking about the kind of faith that gives us strength in the midst of adversity, that reminds us we're not alone in our struggles. For me, that faith is in God, knowing that there's a power greater than myself, a loving presence that sustains me even in the darkest of times, brings an incredible sense of peace. It doesn't make the stress disappear, but it changes how I relate to it. It allows me to let go of the need to control everything, to trust that I'm being guided and supported even when I can't see the way forward. This trust, this surrender to something larger than ourselves, is where true resilience lies. It's in those moments of quiet reflection, of prayer and meditation, that we connect with a source of strength that transcends our own limited understanding. And in that connection, we find the courage to face whatever challenges life throws our way, knowing that we are never truly alone.
If you've been blessed, kindly consider subscribing, comment, follow, and share to bless others. Your brother and friend, Chaplain IG.